All right, so we're here today with Vince. Vince, we reached out to each other. We wanted to do a little collaboration on the fact that you own a lot of high-end vehicles, right? Why don't you talk about just the vehicles that you own currently?
Yeah, so I have this beautiful S-Class. So it's a brand new S580E. It's a hybrid electric, gas as well. So this car is about 140,000. I also have a BMW i7, brand new as well. So that one's about 120 grand. And then I have a GLS 450 as well, SUV, which is like a mild hybrid as well.
And the real unique part about this is the fact that, a lot of people say or comment that the Cybertruck is overpriced at $100,000,
Yeah.
right? You own 140, 120, $100,000 cars,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
$100,000 plus.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're at the top of the line, which these cars are in their brands, the i7 and the S-Class, you're getting the best of the best, right? You're
Right.
getting a full featured,
Mm-hmm.
premium suspension, premium engines, premium comfort. You get all that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Technology,
Yep.
everything. So the cool part about this is that you're going to be able to get into the Cybertruck. You can drive it, and then you can ultimately give us your thoughts on, is it worth the $100,000 price tag? You mentioned that you did have a Tesla, right?
I did, yeah. So I had a Model 3 Performance.
Nice.
I bought it in 2020 and then traded it in 2024. But I loved it. I mean, that thing was a beast.
It's fast.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah, super fast.
So what would you say, because I know earlier when we were talking about your i7, we were talking about the S-Class, you mentioned that the i7 was quicker because it's all electric.
Yeah.
So I had that instant torque. But you said that the S-Class had better comfort. Is that right?
Right. Yeah. So being that the i7 is full electric, you get that instant power
Yeah.
and instant torque, and you get that with Tesla too.
Yeah.
But this car, you get not so much the torquiness of the motor. It is a hybrid, but you get more of a comfort ride with this.
Yeah.
It's more of like you enjoy the ride more,
And,
right?
and that's what I love, is the fact that I was telling you before we started filming that,
Yeah.
in my personal opinion, I've never driven something nicer or more comfortable than an S-Class.
Right.
So to me, like, this is perfect because I want you to get in this and you're going to be able to tell us all that, right? You're going to be able to really let us know. All right, so then let's do this. Let's jump into the Cybertruck.
Cool.
We'll have you drive it.
All right.
And then kind of mess around with it a little bit. And then you'll give us your opinions in real time. And then we'll come back afterwards and kind of wrap it all up.
Cool. All right.
We're in the Cybertruck. Vince is in the driver's seat. Why don't you give your initial impressions and once again, be 100% honest.
Yeah.
Initial impressions on just the comfort, the seats, just everything. Just what are you initially kind of observing?
Yeah, so the first thing that came to my mind was it's actually really nice in here. So you have like the Alcantara, all the leather. I didn't expect it to feel and look so nice in here.
Okay.
Like, really. It actually feels really, really, it feels luxury in here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So far, so good.
So far, so good. Yeah.
Now,
It's super spacious.
As you know, having owned a previous Tesla, they really go for a minimalistic look, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's just that center screen. There's really nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
Coming from the premium BMW and Mercedes lines, what is your thoughts on that? Do you like less or do you like more?
Less is better. So comparing to like the i7, where you literally, it's the same kind of setup. You just have that long screen in the front and literally no buttons at all whatsoever. I think the reason why BMW went that route was because of Tesla, because people enjoy the simplicity of just having it like this.
Yeah.
I enjoy having it like this as well.
Okay.
I think having simple is better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice. Big controversial thing that a lot of people have with the Cybertruck is the steering wheel, or as they call it, the Squircle. What is your initial thoughts on it? It's different.
It's different. Yeah, so it's really different. I think when I drive it, I'll probably get a better feel for it. But kind of my initial thought is like, yeah, it's a little weird. That's a little weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of guys, I've had truck guys get in it, and when you're thinking of a truck, it's like that's more of a sports car steering wheel, right?
Yeah.
You want a big wheel, and so that's kind of always been something that people say. So, okay, well let's go ahead. Let me get my seatbelt on, and
Yeah, I think the Alcantara is so sick.
it's nice, right?
Yeah.
It's a nice little. It adds a little touch to it.
Yeah.
I think. You want to just take it for a spin?
Does it have a rear steer?
Yes, it does.
I can feel it.
Yeah.
So the i7 has rear steer as well.
Okay.
That's why I kind of noticed it right away.
Well, you mentioned when we first pulled up and before we started recording how it's bigger than you thought.
Oh, it's so much bigger than I thought.
So now you have that experience, and your cars aren't small.
Right.
But because you have that experience with the rear steer on the BMW, and then getting into something like this, which is a larger vehicle, right?
Yeah.
It'll give you a really good idea once we do a U-turn on how that feels to you.
Yeah, I think, and it feels so much bigger when you're driving it.
Right.
Like it feels insanely big.
What are your thoughts on the windshield and the dashboard? The biggest windshield and biggest dashboard
that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So my initial impression of it was like, oh my God, that's huge.
Yeah.
And then when you kind of walk up to it, it really does. You kind of look at it and you're like, oh my God, that is probably like the biggest piece of glass I've seen on any vehicle.
Yeah.
Because you're not used to it. Like in my cars, they're not so big, right?
Yeah.
So, but I will say this: as I'm driving it, having it like this is pretty sick because you can see more.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, it feels giant in here.
So this truck is close to 7,000 pounds.
Yeah.
Which is pretty heavy.
Yeah.
Do you feel that weight?
No.
Okay.
I think maybe at like slower speeds, but because the wheels are so large, I don't know, it doesn't feel like it's 7,000 pounds.
Yeah.
It feels like I'm driving. It kind of feels like, I mentioned to you I owned an M2 as well.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like I'm driving something small the way that it drives. But it's just so damn big. Yeah. It's kind of intimidating when you're driving it.
No. You don't like to go fast? So how did that acceleration feel?
It feels like it shouldn't go that fast. For how big it is and how big it feels, it shouldn't. Like, it doesn't make sense.
And comparing it to like the i7, right? You say that one's really quick. How would you compare it?
Yeah, like, oh no, this is way faster. This kind of makes you feel like, yeah. So the i7 is also heavy. It's just about 6,000 pounds.
Okay.
But being that it is all electric, it's not as fast as this. It doesn't pull as hard.
Okay.
Like even in sport mode, like this thing just pulls like, oh my God. It's insane.
So what Zach was saying is that when you did the initial U-turn, you did a U-turn like if it was a traditional just truck, right? Without rear steering.
Because like when you think about it, it's so big. Yeah. You're like, I think I need to like give myself more space.
Yeah.
But like you don't. Yeah, that's not supposed to be like that. Yeah, that's the reason why I gave myself that extra space in the U-turn.
It's so big.
Because it's so big. I didn't expect it to be like. So my i7 also has rear steer as well. So like when you're making a U-turn or because it's a car, you're like, okay, I can just flip it real quick.
Yep.
In this car, the reason why I didn't was because I'm like, oh man, like it's so big.
Your instinct is to go a little wider.
Yeah, 100%. Naturally, I want to be like go right and then flip it, but I don't think I have to. Let's see. Nah, no way. Like it shouldn't do that. It's so big.
Are you familiar with the steer-by-wire, which is the steering technology that Tesla's using for the Cybertruck?
No.
Turn the wheel all the way to the left.
That's it.
Yeah. And then if you turn it all the way to the right.
Yeah,
So
that's
you don't
wild.
you don't do full turns, right?
No.
Hand over hand turning.
You know, it's weird too because when I made that U-turn, like naturally I wanted to be like, keep turning,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't. And when it stopped, the wheel stopped turning. I was like, oh, okay. That kind of caught me off guard too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's wild. Steer-by-wire.
Steer-by-wire. So it's essentially the technology that you get in airplanes.
Man, I'll tell you, like I don't think people give this vehicle enough respect. And I will say, like, I have my own opinions about the Cybertruck.
Okay.
Because like I did end up ordering it when it didn't have the side view mirrors, like when it was like all pre, like, you know.
Yeah.
And because I was like, oh, it looks super futuristic, and I thought that these side mirrors were going to be super ugly on it. But I think my whole entire perception of the Cybertruck has changed while driving it.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people don't give it the respect. Certainly didn't give it the respect until I drove it today. It feels really good in here. Like, you have the luxury, but it's like, dude, it's a Cybertruck.
Yeah.
It shouldn't do these things. It shouldn't like turn like that. The speed, the comfort, the seats are comfortable. The glass is super dope, actually. Being that it's so big, you would think like, oh my god, it's gonna kill your vision, but it gives you way more visibility.
Yeah, it does.
But yeah, I'm really, I kind of want one. Yeah, like my initial opinion when I saw it in pictures, and even when I see it driving around the streets, like I pass by Tesla and Irvine probably daily.
Yeah.
And I always see them out there, and I'm like, oh man, like I don't know if I'd ever want to buy one of those, because one, do I really need a truck personally, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't drive like a truck.
Exactly.
It does not even feel like a truck.
But when you're driving it, you don't feel like you're driving a truck.
No, man, not at all. And I'm really surprised about that. Because, like I said, you don't realize how big this thing is until you're like, it pulls up.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, oh, damn, that thing's huge. And then when you get in it and you drive it, it feels even bigger than it looks.
Yeah.
But then when you turn with the turn-by-wire, like you said, like, you're not even going a full turn.
Yeah.
That's incredible. And the way the steering wheel is, I won't lie, it's weird, but you get used to it right away.
Okay.
I feel like I'm used to it right away. I mean, I've driven a lot of cars, but I kind of like it. Yeah, it doesn't feel like it doesn't go with the vehicle. I feel like if it had a circle steering wheel,
Mm-hmm.
it wouldn't belong. Like, look at this. Like, this should not happen in a truck this size. That's wild.
So I know you said that you've never had a truck, right?
Never.
Okay, so you've never had a truck.
Probably go with him over there. Okay.
You know, looking at it right here, I mean, I get a lot of people when I say it's a Cybertruck, they go, "It's a truck,"
Yeah.
because this just looks like a rear end of a vehicle.
Yeah.
But well, number one, this is hard, right? It's a tonneau,
Solid.
so it's solid. Yeah. It can handle up to, I believe, 300 pounds.
Okay.
So you could stand on it if you needed to, right?
Yeah.
Now it's a truck.
That's a lot of space too. I thought it was going to be smaller.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a lot of space.
That's why I tell a lot of people that, in my personal opinion, this is like the perfect road trip vehicle.
Oh yeah.
Because you could put luggage, you could put things for the kids, bikes, whatever you need to back here, and then you still have plenty of room in the cabin.
Yeah.
For the family.
Yeah.
So now you could lift it up for off-roading.
How high did that go? It's still going?
It's still going. And now it just changes the whole look of the truck.
Damn, that's crazy. It makes it so much bigger.
Changes it, right?
Damn. Yeah.
All right, Vince. So you drove the Cybertruck.
Mm-hmm.
What are your thoughts?
I'm super impressed. I'm really impressed with it. So I had expectations for it. I didn't think it was going to drive as good as it did, because you see everything online, right? Oh, it's so ugly. But I think like when you're here and it's in front of you,
Yeah.
it's like legendary. And then when you drive it, totally different experience. I think they did an amazing job giving it a mix of luxury and a mix of like truck with electric and total reimagining of what like a future car should be.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I love it.
So,
Yeah.
so you have a lot of experience, like we talked about in the beginning, of luxury, speed. I mean, S-Class is not a small vehicle.
Yeah.
It's one of the largest sedans you can buy.
Yep.
The i7 is the same thing.
Yeah.
So you're used to larger, heavier cars, luxury cars, fast cars. You've experienced it all. How does this, from all those categories, compare to those? So let's start with comfort. How does this compare to comfort of a S-Class? And once again, be brutally honest.
Okay, so I'll say there's a big difference in the seating of an S-Class versus the Cybertruck.
Yeah.
So the seats are comfortable, but they're not as comfortable as an S-Class seats, right?
Yeah.
And you have like other options like massages and all other good stuff in the S-Class, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
But you have to remember, this is a truck, right? Like it's meant to be a truck.
Yeah.
So I think like for what it is, comparing to like a car like this seat's a little better.
Yeah.
But the interior feels luxury in the Cybertruck.
Okay.
I would say it's just as luxury as in here, because you have Alcantara, you have the leather, and it feels big in there.
Yeah.
Like it feels like you have a lot of space to move around.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Okay, so comfort-wise, if we were gonna do kind of like a comparison, S-Class wins on that, right?
In the interior.
On the
yeah,
comfort.
and like the seating and the comfort. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go with acceleration, speed. Where do you?
Cybertruck wins.
Yeah.
All day long. I feel like it's like when I was driving it, like it's not supposed to feel or go as fast as it is.
Yeah.
It should go slower. It's a giant truck, right?
Yeah.
Like it should go slow. The speed, the torque, and like the pull on that beats the S-Class all day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Suspension ride. How do you feel about the ride?
Versus the S-Class?
Let's just go with the S-Class because it's here right now.
Yeah. Okay. So versus the S-Class, being that this is a sedan and that's a truck, I'd probably put him like even.
Really?
I'd probably put him even. S-Class, especially AMG lines, are known for this suspension. That's what the AMG is. It's all suspension.
Yeah.
So you kind of feel like you're on a cloud when you drive this, right? But then when you drive this, like I said, it doesn't make sense. The math doesn't math because you're like giant truck, giant wheels, wide base. Like this should not feel this good. And so
you're judging it on a curve. You're kind of saying because it's a truck,
right?
You're giving it extra points.
Correct.
This drives better, but because this is a truck,
it drives amazing for what it is.
I agree with that.
I mean, really.
And you mentioned the fact that you felt the weight, right? You felt the weight of the truck, but it didn't hinder anything. It didn't hinder your speed, your get up, your comfort, suspension. Like it didn't do any of that to you.
No. And that's what I'm, like I keep saying over and over, like it shouldn't drive the way it does. It's really weird. Like driving the i7, like, okay, this is a bigger car. But BMW's made that car to drive light, right? This car drives insanely smooth, like insane. I've owned a lot of luxury cars. This is by far the best driving car I've driven.
Yeah.
But like when you get in this and you're driving it with like the turn radius and the acceleration and just everything that Tesla has put into this car, it doesn't make sense that it drives as good as it does.
$100,000 cars, you have them.
Mm-hmm.
You have multiple.
Mm-hmm.
You know what that feels like.
Mm-hmm.
You've now driven the Cybertruck. Would you buy this for $100,000? Is it worth the $100,000?
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of want one. So, yeah. I mean, like for 100 grand, for what this car drives like, I would definitely pay it.
Okay.
I would definitely buy the Cybertruck for many, many reasons. Like you get the off-road capabilities, right? The fact that look how high it is lifted.
Yeah.
Like that's insane. Like, and that was a touch of a button on a screen. Like that's crazy. Look how like it's huge, right? So you get that. You get the sport, right? It drives like I had an M2. I'm telling you, it feels like you're driving something a lot smaller, with the acceleration, the comfort, like everything. So yeah, I would definitely pay 100 grand for this.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So it's not overpriced.
I want one.
It's not overpriced.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. Sounds good. Appreciate it, Vince.
Yeah.
Thank you.
For